Hey everybody, David Johnston here. We've got a couple of presentations today. First by Storj and second by Blockoff. Our first presentation is by Sean Wilkinson from the Storj team. The group from the Decentralized Applications Fund is leading the due diligence report for this group. So excited to hear about what Sean wants to present to us today about their project. And without any further ado, I'll hand it over to you, Sean.
All right. So here again with storage. Storj.io is our website. If you want to download this deck, there's a link to the PDF right there in the top right-hand corner. So I'm just going to switch over to just that, and we'll get started. All right. So again, name is Sean Wilkinson. I'm the lead developer and founder of Storj, and we're all about the decentralized cloud. Now, there's three main things that you should think of when you are talking about storage. Number one is that users earn money for their extra hard drive space. So you have a hard drive, you're probably only using, what, 25, 50% of it. That's wasted money. Let's take that, let's sell that to a network and actually have people use it. Number two, it's 10 to 100 times more cost effective than the traditional cloud. Because look, Dropbox, Amazon S3, all these other companies, they have to pay employees, heating, cooling, electricity costs, servers, profit margins for investors, all those things factor into their core costs. Us, it's just a user has his computer, they already pay for the computer, the hard drive, the internet. So the costs are way less. Number three, it's secure, private, and it's a fast network. You're not going to take your Bitcoin wallet and store it on Dropbox, or you're not going to store sensitive files on Dropbox. You're not going to store your entire computer on Dropbox. They won't fit. So there's many terms in terms of speed and privacy that you can't use these traditionalized services for. So we want to fix that with storage. We've got tons of user interest in the past 6 weeks after we actually publicly released this at the Texas Bitcoin conference hackathon. A lot of people understand that this is kind of the next step. This is where we're going. We're taking these peer-to-peer technologies, we're taking this blockchain technology, and applying it to these other fields that really need to be decentralized. So we've got a lot of interest from the Bitcoin community mostly. On Reddit and Bitcoin Talk, people really want to try this, really want to use this. So I think to dive into it, the first thing we should start with is the traditional cloud. Let's start with the problem we're trying to solve. So you have a file, you want to upload it to Dropbox so you can store it and sync it with your other computers, or you want to share it with a friend. So what you do, you just open the Dropbox application, drag and drop your file in there, and on the back end, Dropbox actually takes that and sends it to Amazon, and they store it on their physical servers. Now, interesting enough, if you look at the premium packages for Dropbox and you look at Amazon S3's pricing, Dropbox charges a 100x markup off of Amazon and just for their application. And there's also privacy concerns, so Dropbox has been compromised at some points. And then, of course, there's malwares on either your computer or a friend's computer that can actually compromise those files. So there's many problems in terms of Amazon and Dropbox dominating this market and many privacy and security concerns. We can dive into the cost a little bit more too. So if you look on the user side, that's left. If we were just to run our own Dropbox and we were to charge the user, our core cost would be about $2 for full 100 gigabytes of utilization. So that's that standard Dropbox plan. So 100% utilization is about $2, whereas Dropbox charges about 8 and change. Then you have the flip side of that, so not the consumer side, but the people who are actually providing the storage. You can really start to see that 100x markup bleed in. Standard user with their PC might earn about $150 from our research a month. And if you were actually to run this on a powerful server with a lot of bandwidth, a few $100 a month would gross a few $1,000s in profit. So a lot better than your Butterfly Labs or your KNC ASIC miners. Storage is something that's used every day. So just a breakdown, quick breakdown. Traditional services, you have Dropbox, you have Google Drive, or the encrypted no, or the private no. Can you rent space? Are they cost effective? All these are no for all these other different platforms. But storage, we really bring these into the mix. So let's look at storage a little bit in this decentralized cloud that we're trying to build. So you look back at the old diagram, the traditional cloud, and then you look back at our new diagram, you can see we just essentially eliminated the middleman. We took out Dropbox, we took out Amazon S3, and we just have it kind of directed to the storage network or to the user trying to share with. So one of the key features is we want end-to-end encryption. We want you to take your file, we want that file to be encrypted on your computer before it gets sent out through the network. Then it's sent to the network, it's distributed to multiple people in the network, who are paid for that particular service. And then if you want to share it with a friend, then you share the decryption keys with them, and they're able to decrypt and use that file. So we eliminate the privacy and malware concerns and spying. A lot of people are concerned about the NSA and whatnot. It's more just security portion. If someone has access to that file, then anyone can get access to that file. We want to make sure that only you have access and control over your files. And again, eliminate the middleman. All that profit goes now to the network and to the users instead of Dropbox or Amazon. A little bit about our algorithm here. You take your file, encrypted, and distributed among about 3 nodes on the network. This is the standard 3x redundancy that all the providers pretty much use. If one of those computers goes down, tries to modify or delete your file, well, we have a check-in algorithm. We have a proof that says, okay, I want you to prove that you still have my file and you haven't modified it. And from that, if they either pass it or fail it. So if they pass it, we keep on paying them. If they fail it or they're offline, then we just recover it from our other sources. A little bit more on the technology side. You want to share the file with a friend. You pass them the hash of the file, so that's the kind of unique key for the file, and then you pass them the decryption key. They take the hash, they look it up on the decentralized network on the blockchain, and they use that information to find where the file is physically at on the internet or on the network. So we're not relying on a central application or a central database. Everything that we really need is stored in the blockchain, which doesn't go down. So this is a great way to store information. Now, as a note, the metadata for the file, so the information that we need, is stored in the blockchain, but the file itself is not stored on the blockchain. Just wanted to make that quick clarification. Moving on a little bit to the application layer here. So we're working on 2 applications primarily right now. We have a bunch more plans, but these are 2 primary applications. Metadisk, which is a piece of software that's drag and drop, allows you to take your files and store them on the network, web-based software. We're also working on a Dropbox-like solution. And Driveminer, which allows people to sell their storage space to the network. So they download this app, they hit go, earning our cryptocurrency for that. Here's some screenshots of the apps. I can give a small little demo at Metadisk at some point. And in a few days, we're going to start up our live net for Driveminer. So these 2 apps work hand in hand across the blockchain to provide the storage and provide an app to actually use the storage. A little bit about our market. You have Bitcoin. This changes every day, but it's about an $8 billion market. Versus the traditional cloud is about a huge $150 billion market. So you have these people investing in ASICs and whatnot, and they're all competing on this small little 25 Bitcoin block reward. Versus storage, we're really aiming for this existing ecosystem that everyone understands. So it's a much larger pot, much larger market to pull from, at least initially. So we can get into a little bit of adoption. For Bitcoin, you have regulation, public perception, volatility, ease of use. All of these are impeding it. Not saying we won't get there, but it does slow it down. Versus storage is just applications. We just build something that looks like Dropbox or Mega Upload or whatnot. We don't even have to have mention of Bitcoin or cryptocurrency or blockchain or even the word storage in there, it's just an application that the users are used to and drag and drop and use their files, and they don't have to touch all the technical stuff. So it really pushes storage in terms of being user adoptable just because it's what they're used to. We don't really believe in competition when it comes to storage. We have integrations with Counterparty, Mastercoin, MadeSafe, Ethereum, MyTables. We're doing Key Resource Store. Basically, everyone in this space is open source, trying to achieve the same goals. So we build both apps and protocol. So if there's a particular protocol that has some things better, that's fine. We just integrate them into our apps, and we're still moving capital around in our ecosystem. So it's really good that we can just kind of work with all these platforms and build something better and something decentralized. And also, I'll get a little bit into the cryptocurrency in a second, but we would like to take our cryptocurrency and integrate it back into Bitcoin at some point. So we have something separate called Storj Coin, and we're creating our own cryptocurrencies simply for technical reasons. But we'd like to, when these side chains or these tree chains become a thing, reintegrate back into Bitcoin, just when that's technically possible. We're not holding our breath for it. And then, of course, finishing up the first part, the first deck. This is our team. This slide is actually outdated. We've actually doubled the size of our team since this slide was created. So we're adding a lot of people every day. I think the current count is about 17 or 18 people on the core team, everything from writing to development. So a lot of people are interested in storage and learning about it. Also, a lot of people are interested in actually contributing to it. So I'd like to field some questions first, and then perhaps transition over to the Crowdsale Deck after people ask kind of their questions about the core technology of storage. Then I'll just transition over to the Crowdsale Deck.
Sounds good, Sean. Folks, if you've got yourself on mute, remember to unmute yourself before you ask a question. I've got a few if nobody's ready to jump in.
Sure, go right ahead.
So help me understand, I know you're going to do the Crowdsale one separately, but help me understand the technicals first of your applications. You talked briefly about two different applications. You talked about the Metadisk and you talked about the miner. Can you talk about sort of where those are in development and sort of when they'll be available or when you'll be launching them?
Sure, I'll do you one better. I'll show you one. So this is the application that we started off when we were first prototyping the platform. So it's called Metadisk. You can look at some more information and sign up for updates at metadisk.org. Essentially, we wanted to start this off kind of on the ground floor and say, hey, let's not start with all this complicated software and all this stuff you have to download and this peer-to-peer stuff. Let's start from the base. This is a simple web application that people can use to connect to our network and store their files. Let's make it as simple as possible. I don't know if some of you are around in 2010 or 2012, when you had to compile the mining applications yourself and get it running. We just want to make it as simple as possible. So I'll grab a quick file from my desktop. Let's grab some random piece of code and upload it. So I just uploaded a file, an indexed HTML file to storage. So it essentially takes that file, puts it on a server, gets the information from that file, so the hash and whatnot, and encrypts that file, distributes it throughout the network, and then it returns you, of course, the information in the file to actually find it. So in a little while, this file is going to be synced to our multiple nodes, and then in just a little bit after that, it's actually going to take the information from that file and sync it to the blockchain. So that's all done right there before your eyes. So it's already synced it with the multiple nodes. and it's syncing the file information with the blockchain right now. So that's accessible. Let's see if I can go back to this, paste it in. So that's that file that I just uploaded through Metadisk, and you can actually download right there from GoToMeeting. So that's our first application, and we're using this kind of as the reference client for storage, so a lot of things will plug into this. The second portion is Driveminer. So that's a web application. It's built in Flask, Python, and uses the Datacoin blockchain on the back end. Driveminer, this is kind of a screenshot to that. That's a little bit longer to explain, but essentially the users are just going to download this application that looks exactly like this. It's going to connect to the Metadisk application, and that's going to take care of the sending the storage to the client, sending the files to the Driveminer application, and the Driveminer application is going to manage everything for you. All you do is put in your address and hit go, and it works. I can talk a little bit more about the protocol side of Driveminer if you want.
Specifically for
questions.
No, that's great. Yeah, so it's currently up. Metadisk is currently up and running. Is Driveminer also up and running?
So I just put out some specs for a freelancer to do. I spec'd it out, and so in the next few days we're going to actually have Driveminer, a little test net working. So we have a bit of a different development process than everyone else. We try to meet a lot of small little goals. So we have like Metadisk working, and put that out there, and then Driveminer, essentially while Metadisk is running, we can plug Driveminer in and replace our kind of not peer-to-peer and not completely decentralized data stores. So Metadisk is going to be running first because we need people to be using storage before we can sell the storage through Driveminer. So Metadisk is going to go out first, and then Driveminer is going to come out in the next few weeks as part of our LiveNet actually running.
So in the next few weeks, I'll be able to download Driveminer onto my 12 terabytes and start getting paid.
In the next few weeks, you'll be able to download a console application. We don't have we have the interface exactly how we want, but we have to build that out. So it will be a nice little console application to do that, and that's only available to people who participate in our crowd sale. So there's going to be a long development process for Driveminer, but we are putting out, like I said, the sample application for Driveminer in the next few weeks.
Very good. That's all my questions on the application. So if other people have questions, we can dive into those. Otherwise, happy to jump into your next deck.
Yes, Sean, thank you for the presentation. What niche market do you think you can find? Where is the place that you can gain most ground most quickly?
So essentially, the cool thing is we can essentially just build applications to hit those niche markets. So we can build protocol that does all the fancy technical stuff, and then we can just build a small little application on top of that to hit a niche market. So Metadisk is one of them. In that way, we're trying to replace these file hosts, so like Mega Upload and those kind of areas, where people just want to upload their file real quick and share them. Another big thing is, of course, people want a decentralized Dropbox. Every time I go to these companies, these conferences, and talk to people, they want a more secure version of Dropbox. So Metadisk is running the kind of Dropbox-like application is going to plug into Metadisk. All we have to really do is write a front end to that. Metadisk takes care of all the technical back end.
But
so those are the two markets we're trying to hit real quick that we can do right now. But the real market that we're trying to appeal to is, of course, the cloud market, the storing your data online. But we can hit these really niche markets really quick. But everyone needs to store data online. Everyone stores data in the cloud pretty much. So it's a very big market. We don't have to niche it out too much. Does that answer your question?
No, I was looking for examples because you're not gonna grow unilaterally in all markets. It has to gain roots somewhere in a community
Correct.
and be picked up. What community, what sort of community? For example, the Bitcoin community, the environmentalist community, the journalism community. Where do you see the most quickest and best way to get this up and running?
Sure. So essentially, what we need to do is essentially take Metadisk just a little bit further and put out some APIs. And then, so a lot of people want the Dropbox application. That is our primary thing. That's what I've heard from the users that they wanted. Another portion is, so we're really going to have to tailor this to each specific application. Remember when I talked about in the Crowdsale Deck the cost effectiveness? You remember that portion back? I think it was the first one here, where it's 10 to 100 times more cost effective. So we had a cancer research institute that's based out of Texas contact us, and they're saying we want to shuffle our files around, but we don't have, these are large files, and we don't have kind of any way to do that without paying a lot of money. I spec'd it out on Amazon S3, and it costs about $1,500 to do it. For us, it cost about $15. So there's essentially just building APIs and just building an application where people can just store and transfer their data around. That's the market that we're trying to appeal to, because we know that's a big market, and that really depends on the user. So you really can't say, like Dropbox, what particular market they're trying to hit. It's just the market is people storing data. So everyone has a different use. Everyone's going to store a different file on there. So that's what we're trying to hit.
I agree with you, but let me put it this way: if you had a campaign, ad campaign money, which demo would you target?
I would target the traditional, like I said, I just target the Dropbox model. We know that works. We know people use that. We know that's what people want. For specific applications, really, we take that out of what the users want. Just what they tell us to do, we'll build things and tools for that. But that seems to be what people want first. Just a better Dropbox, essentially.
Thank you.
We're why don't we cut off questions there?
If I can jump in on that.
Sure.
Real briefly, the huge interest we've gotten is from people that want to sell their excess hard drive space, and these are people that also use hard drive space. So everybody that uses Driveminer to sell their extra hard drive space is a niche market that's also going to turn around since they're already earning Storj Coin. And then when they need to store files, they'll use it as well. So the community that uses the forums and is really into our product already will be the first niche market.
Exactly. Thank you.
Cool. Well, why don't we cut off questions right there? Don't want to go over too much on time. Sean, if you want to take us through your next set of slides that talk specifically about the crowd sale, that'd be great.
Sure. So this is the next Crowdsale deck here. I can share this URL with everyone. There we go. All right, now you guys should all have a copy of this deck as well. All right, so this is a quick deck that just goes over the crowd sale. I'm pretty sure everyone's pretty familiar with what a crowd sale is. You put in Bitcoin to our crowd sale and you receive Storj Coin on the other side of that. What is Storj Coin? Why is it useful? You earn it through selling your hard drive space. You use it to buy space on the storage network via the many applications. You get at least 10% stake of all the new altcoins that we create. I'll talk a little bit about this in a second or two. And we have a little bit of a different model to altcoins that people typically have. The Storj Coin 0 is going to be on the counterparty protocol, but we're really token protocol data source kind of agnostic. So this is for Storj Coin 0, but there's going to be other coins that are going to run on places like Mastercoin and Ethereum and whatnot. And there's 500 million Storj Coin, the amount of units that we have. So typical user is, of course, going to receive Storj Coin from mining their hard drive. They're going to spend that on data applications like Metadisk. And, of course, there's always the market where they can buy and sell these Storj Coins. Now, a little bit about our 10% issuance portion. So you have the Bitcoin ecosystem. You have Litecoin, Next, Dogecoin that are all kind of cloning the source code, taking 99% of the stuff that the Bitcoin core developers and whatnot have been working on, and just fork it, change a few things, and release a new cryptocurrency. It's great to have to try new things, but this is taking money out of the Bitcoin ecosystem. So you not so happy with all the clone coins that are coming out. But we say, hey, we really want to play around. We really want to experiment with the blockchain and that technology. So we have Storj Coin 0 as kind of like the Bitcoin for our ecosystem. But we encourage people to create forks of our code and create different altcoins that try new things. But we ask that we're doing this for third-party coins that can do this as well. But essentially, you get a piece of these new coins that are created. So this might be experiment. We might be trying something. But hey, it could take off. It could go up 10,000%. It could be useful. So we want to make sure that you, since you put all that time and effort in the storage ecosystem, you get your cut. And if we find something that's a better protocol or works better, then we can just transition that primary currency one-to-one to this new protocol or this new idea that's much better than what we're currently using. So we want to position storage in such a way that it can replace itself with itself. We want to say, okay, there's a new technology, we can transition to it. So we don't get later down the line replaced with another technology that does things better. We already talked about the market that we're trying to appeal to, the traditional cloud versus Bitcoin. We already talked about the adoption. These are our specific numbers for the crowd sale. So we're having a small pre-crowd sale. If you would like to jump in on this, contact me directly, and I can send you the full terms. So this is just a small budget for marketing. I'm getting on the road now to talk about storage and going to a lot of conferences. And so we're just having a small pre-crowd sale now that's private to just push some funds out there. 15th is our start date for the crowd sale plan. And so you can see, of course, all the rates are right there. Rewards for participating in the crowd sale, of course, you get Storj Coin. We talked about its value. You get a stake in all the altcoins in the ecosystem. You get an early access to Driveminer, so only people who participate in the crowd sale, we might do also a proportion, will be actually able to use Driveminer in the early days. So while we're still testing out and figure things out, only the people who have access or participate in the crowd sale will get access to that. And of course, early access to our applications as well. This is a little bit about the distribution. We're taking Storj Coin. We're giving 15% to the developers, 15% to the community. This is something that I don't think anyone's doing it. So we want, this is something I saw that someone would have a crowd sale and the developers would have all the fun. But the users have all these great and innovative ideas, and they have to ask permission for the developers to get that done. And that's just a bottleneck. So we say, hey, developers will have their funds and they'll work on development. The community will have their funds and they can work on the apps that they want or marketing or whatnot. So we want the community to have their own funds, and then 70% goes towards the crowd sale. So we think that that community idea will really help push things out, because if you even look at Bitcoin development, there's maybe 1 or 2 Bitcoins that have been donated to the repository for this $8 billion industry. People aren't really willing that much to shell out their money for development. But if you give them a pool to pull from initially, then I think we'll fix that problem. We'll have people a lot more involved in building the ecosystem. For the Bitcoin, same thing. It's going to go to dev salaries, so I can put a roof over my head. Our applications, protocol, marketing, and also the community will also have some Bitcoins to pull from. So that's it for the Crowdsale deck. I guess I'll just start fielding questions, and that's all I have to present.
Very good. Thanks, Sean. Again, remember to unmute yourself if you want to jump in. Well, I've got a first question about the
Sean,
crowd
you
sale. Sean,
talked
I'm
about
wondering how long it goes and when it starts.
Sure. So our state date is July, July 15th. So 5 days from now is our start date. We know for a fact that we're going to, just from the interest, we're at least going to hit phase 1. We might. I'm considering doing a bit of pause between like phase 2 and phase 3, just from interest and seeing kind of these other crowd sales swarm and whatnot, and how much they've raised. But it's going to last no more than probably about 30 days. It seems to be the typical time period, based on David, what you said in terms of your guidelines for crowd sales. So probably no more than 30 days for our initial crowd sale.
Sean, you talked about token agnosticness. Would you tell me more about it?
Sure. So, like I said in our integrations portion, we plan to work with a lot of protocols, so counterparty, Mastercoin, and whatnot. And we can build the application in such a way that it can kind of accept any token and it can work well. But remember, this is a decentralized cloud source. It's a decentralized protocol. So we don't even want to be reliant on one blockchain or one token in our ecosystem. We want to decentralize it. We want to have many. So when we're storing this actually metadata for the files, we can store it on different blockchains. So if, let's say, someone decided to 51% attack a blockchain, or we had problems with Bitcoin or a particular network, doesn't matter. We have a couple other blockchains to rely on. And so we're building this more as an ecosystem rather than focusing on like one asset or one cryptocurrency. So Storj Coin 0 is the main cryptocurrency, but we have other sub cryptocurrencies that do different things, work with different applications, have different use cases.
So the main coin, Storj 0 coin, what platform is that released on?
So right now that's going to be launched on Counterparty.
I see. And would you be doing anything to harmonize or regularize the price of storage coins, different storage coins on different platforms? So the cost would be different or the same if I want to use Mastercoin as opposed to Counterparty. Would I be paying more? Are the coins the same price on both protocols or different?
So for that particular one, once storage is a little bit more solid, we're going to get into a little bit more in-depth conversations with Mastercoin and Counterparty. So what we're trying to do with these other tokens is say, okay, we say, for example, Mastercoin, we say, okay, we want to get into smart data, we want to use user-created assets, and we want to use decentralized smart contracts kind of integrated with our data. So we work with Mastercoin to build a token and a protocol, and we set out some goals and some applications that we want to build, specifically with Mastercoin. And so if you have Storj Coin 0, you're going to get a cut of that. If you have Mastercoin and you're participating, you're going to get a cut of that as well. So you'd use that coin or you'd use that other blockchain for a specific application. So a specific use case that those two work together. So it's going to be different for every application. There's no one standard. So for your regular storing of files and whatnot, you're just going to use Storj Coin. But when we're talking about these, this is branching off into another topic in terms of smart data and whatnot. When we get to these other protocols, then you use this other token, and the market will decide what those exchange rates or whatnot are, and how we spec out the protocol and how we want to do things. That's a
And
little bit outside of, that's kind of the future.
yeah, right. And different tokens have their own crowd sales. Or not.
Yes, they can. Or if we say, hey, we're funding this with, this is a really good application. We're funding this with the Crowdsale funds. We're just going to give, we're creating a new token, and we'll just honor like 100% of the coin base for Storj Coin Zero. So everyone that has Storj Coin Zero will just get this new cryptocurrency. So you don't have to do anything. You're just going to get it because you paid for it anyways when you contribute to the Crowdsale. You're funding development for it.
So you're not pegging it ever.
So that depends. We can and we cannot. It depends on the specific application. So there's going to be a few of these, and they're all going to be different, and they're all going to have different use cases.
So sometimes there would be a regular crowd sale, and at other times you would say it's one-to-one. We're just going to give this many coins. And how do you decide?
So that's simply, we put that to the community. We ask, I don't like to make like the large decisions, just like this is how it is. I say, community, what do you want from us? I think that relationship should work the other way around. We ask the actual user, the people who are going to use it, what they want. And then from there we decide a plan. So if there's something that you want, just make it known, and you'll discuss with other people, and we'll come to a consensus on what we should build. So in that way, in terms of deciding stuff, we are also trying to be decentralized. We don't want to kind of dictate how things should be. It's up to the users how they want that protocol to be.
I like your spirit.
Very good.
Sorry, I didn't hear that last part.
Farzad likes your spirit.
Okay. Yeah, decentralize all the things.
Very good. Cool. Well, we're getting close to our time limit here, so want to get moving on. But the thing I always ask folks is, one, how can people best reach you, and what is the time limit for the private sale? You mentioned the public sale starting on the 15th. Is that the end of the private sale?
So for the private sale that has a little bit of bump up over the public crowd sale, I have a lot of people that I've been talking to. It's about 200 Bitcoins. We've raised some of that already. So that's probably going to be filled in the next day, 2 or 3. So we're starting the crowd sale pretty soon, so that's going to be filled up pretty soon. So if you want to get into that, just contact me. I'll leave my email here in the GoToMeeting chat.
And the GoToMeeting chat may or may not show up on the presentation, so it's just Sean at storj.io. Okay, great.
storj.io.
Very good. All right, Sean. Well, thank you again for the presentations. Thanks, everybody, for the questions. We'll call it there and go on to the next, but this is exciting stuff. I'm really excited to see how it goes.
All right. Thank you very much for your time, guys.
All right, great.